Hi everybody and welcome to some cozy mini reviews. I read an arc and that is Sisters in the Wind by Angeline Boulley, and this comes out on September 2nd, and this is my first time reading from this author. I do have her other two books on my shelves. I just haven't gotten to them yet, but I was very grateful to receive the arc from NetGalley. Thank you. This is a story about a girl named Lucy whose dad has always told her that they are Italian and something else white, but mostly Italian, even though she often gets mistaken for Native American. And it is in a small town in Michigan. Yep, Michigan. I was going to say Wisconsin. No, I think it's Michigan. And she has been through a lot. Her dad died very young from cancer, and left her with her stepmom, who turned out to not really be a good person or the person that she thought she was, and basically tricked her dad into things, and then wound herself up in the foster care system. And so we kind of follow Lucy on her journey through a series of flashbacks, because present day Lucy is working at a diner when suddenly there is an explosion, and she is incredibly injured in her leg and is hospitalized when she finds this guy who claims to want to help her reconnect with her Native American side, even though she's pretty sure she is not Native American, whatever you guys say, but she doesn't know her mom. And her father only ever told her one thing about her mom every 3 years, and never got to her 15th birthday, I think, to tell her more. And he'd always lied about where she was. So for some reason, he didn't want her to know that she was Native American and that she was Ojibwe. And there is a program that exists in the real world. I believe it's called ICWA, Indigenous Children's Welfare Act. I think is that what it stands for? And he works for this and wants to help her, but she doesn't really trust anyone given her history, and reconnects with, I believe, her aunt. And I think it's her aunt, who also mistakes her for a girl named Lily, who is apparently her half-sister that has also passed away. And so it's very complicated relationships in this. And so throughout her journey of healing from the explosion, and wondering why was her diner attacked like this, and she knows, but you never really know why for a long time. And you kind of go through this path and seeing her history through the foster homes and what the foster care system can be like, and what horrific things are going on in a variety of different ways, especially towards Native American people. And it's a really good insight to know that this book is set in the early to mid 2000s, so it's not that long ago, and to still have things like this likely going on, not only in our foster care system, but in general, especially with certain administrations and what rights they're trying to continue to take away from Native American people. These books are incredibly important to read. I really appreciate it at the end of the book with an author's note talking more about ICWA and more about what is happening in the world. So definitely do not skip out on that. I feel conflicted on it, because no, this is not a book I normally would read. It's not a fantasy romance. It's not my usual genre, but I knew I wanted to read this one because A, it sounded really, really interesting, and B, because it is very important. I think there's a lot of things we can learn from fiction books that apply to the real world, and this is one of those, especially if you're an ignorant white person like me. And it definitely helped not reinforce some things that I already knew, and then teach me things that I did not know. So I really appreciate, and I think these are the types of books that definitely need to be uplifted a lot more. Even if I didn't really like the characters in this, I had very complicated feelings with many of the characters. One character in particular was Lucy's, one of her foster sisters, who went by the name of Devery, I believe. And what I really loved is that Lucy has a love of an old movie that I don't think people remember, and that's The Trouble with Angels. And it actually stars a very young Dame Maggie Smith. So if you haven't seen that movie, go watch that movie. So it was a little bit of a connection for me, because, I know these characters that they're referencing, because I know and love this movie, which normally I'm not a person who enjoys pop culture references, but because this movie is so much older, it didn't feel so much like how when people briefly mentioned the books that shall not be named or something as a reference in their books, it doesn't feel as cringy when it's something that had a lot of reason, it had a lot of connection for these characters. And I really liked the complicated relationship between them as foster sisters. And the only thing I didn't like is kind of how the story ends up for Devery. I felt like we were missing a lot of things. There was a little bit missing in the blanks between them that I would have liked explored a little bit more, especially at the end when things go down. And I thought that ending climax was also a little rushed. I didn't like a certain unaliving of someone. That made me very, very upsetty spaghetti. I won't spoil that for you, but you will probably get upsetty spaghetti about it as well. But I did overall really, I don't want to say enjoy the books. It's not like, oh, I enjoyed it, but I learned a lot from the book. I appreciated this book a lot. And I think definitely it's something that you guys should pick up and give it a chance when it comes out on September 2nd.